Welcome to our session today. My name's Donna, and today I have the pleasure of having Malcolm with us. Malcolm's from Salon Business Coach, and he's going to be taking us through internal marketing. Hello, Malcolm.
G'day, Donna. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Looking forward to this morning.
Excellent. Well, I've given you the controls, so I'll hand it over to you.
Ooh, dangerous stuff. I've got the controls. Thanks, Donna.
No worries.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Welcome along to our little webinar today, and also say hi to those people that may be watching a replay of this session later on in your own time. Nice that you are listening in as well. So just before we get underway properly, can I get you to raise your hands, now not physically, but on your screen, if you can see my screen. So just pop your hand up if you can see the screen with internal marketing. How does your salon measure up on it? How are we looking for raised hands there, Donna?
Yeah, we've got lots of raised hands there. That's great.
Cool. So that's fantastic. So obviously people can see my screen, and I don't need to ask the next question is, can you hear me? Because obviously you can, because you raised your hands. So thanks for that. And I'm going to take you through internal marketing today, and hopefully I've allowed plenty of time at the end for questions, because I think there's going to be a few questions afterwards. So get them ready for me, and even as we're going through the webinar, you might like to type them into the question box, and Donna can start collating them so that we can answer those at the end of the seminar. So let's get into it, shall we? Sounds like a plan. So advertising, and one of the most common requests that I get from my clients and people out there in the salon world is to help with marketing or advertising. Is, can you help me with my marketing, Malcolm? Can you help me with my advertising? And I've come to understand that they need some marketing, and that I guess they want to know that can I help them with an ad? That seems to be where we get to. And I generally answer, sure, I can help you with an ad. But what's your budget? I've got a few questions before I can help them. You know, like, what's your budget? Where do you plan to advertise? What do you plan to advertise? And what goals have you got set for the results that you want to achieve? And they're just some initial questions that need answering before we can even begin to advertise. So most people haven't thought about the answers to those questions, let alone any other questions that may need to be asked. And it comes down really at the end of the conversation that I have with people to one simple fact. And it's what people want isn't necessarily what they need when it comes to advertising. And you'll find that a lot of your clients in the chair, what they want is not necessarily what they need. So, in fact, most people need answers to questions that they don't even know that they should be asking. So today, I hope to be able to tell you what those questions are and give you some of the answers. So the question is, are you putting the cart before the horse in your marketing? In other words, are you trying to get new clients in the front door when your internal marketing may be not operating efficiently to keep them when they do come in? And if you're not measuring your KPIs to confirm all the data that you've got through your system like Katoomba, then you're probably assuming, and in that respect, you're probably kidding yourself about just how well things are in that department, in internal marketing and keeping clients. I've worked with far too many salons to not know that when people assume, they're pretty much always assuming too far on the positive side of the fence. When we actually put in some measurement systems, we find that's when the reality really sets in, and we realise just how much people are out by their guesses and how much potential there is for improvement. And I'm sure you'll agree that if I asked you what was your current rebooking rate, unless you'd looked at the figures, you might say 75%-ish. Now, if we looked at the figures, the chances are it's probably closer to 60% if you're saying 75%. We always overestimate what we think we're doing. It's very rare that we underestimate. Anyway, we're not here to talk about rebookings, we're here to talk about internal marketing. So advertising really is just one small piece of the marketing puzzle and the marketing plan that a salon has to have. And guys, marketing starts well before any advertising should get underway. So marketing is all about what you do, how you do it, and how you look and behave whilst doing it from a total salon perspective, as well as from each individual person within the business. Now, most salon owners that I know are trying to gain new clients, to make more money, or create more time, and some are successful in doing that. But I guarantee that they're losing the very same clients, or a great number of them, because their salon performance isn't up to par. Did you know that someone who visits your business as a customer for 2 consecutive visits is still a customer? It's only when they return for the 3rd visit that you could call them a client. So are you working with customers all the time, or are you building clients? Unfortunately, many salons are in the business of just attracting customers, and they're losing them before getting them as clients because of their lack of attention to their internal marketing systems. So I guess what's the key point I'm making here? It's that marketing comes before advertising, and a big part of marketing is how you present your salon to your prospective client. Get it right inside the business, and you stand a much better chance of securing a long-term client rather than just, say, a fleeting visitor, someone who's just a 1 or 2 visit customer. Now, if you're feeling, I guess, harried and stressed and worn out and drained at work, I know that sometimes we all go through that stress period and feeling low and maybe just need a holiday. But if you're feeling that, then you can bet that the salon's probably reflecting that. So the salon will reflect the feeling that you are, and so will your team. So the total performance of your salon, from how it looks through to how clients are treated, could well be under threat if you don't recognize this and do something about it. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So if you want different, you've got to do different. And to do different, you've got to behave different. Is this making sense? Just pop your hands up if this is making sense to you all. Any hands going up there, Donna?
Yeah,
Hope it's making sense.
Yeah, we've got some hands.
Cool, bananas. Great stuff.
Yeah,
so, a moment of truth. So what's a moment of truth? Well, in my opinion, in the salon, a moment of truth happens when an employee or a team member and a customer have contact. So the salon industry is unique in that staff are part of the product. So staff satisfaction creates client satisfaction. And also, guys, on the flip side of that, client dissatisfaction reduces employee satisfaction. It's really kind of a two-way effect. So I'm going to ask the question, what do you do to lead your team in this area? And what do you do to make sure they're inspired and happy in their work so that clients get wowed every time? Now, that's part of a good internal marketing system. I guess you've all heard Richard Branson's little saying, which is clients don't come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees will take care of the clients. So how do you make sure that your internal marketing is working as it should with your team? What are you doing to ensure that they're inspired, they're happy, and they're providing the level of service that you want your clients to get? So let's look at some other areas for consideration. So the first piece of internal marketing is your team. How are you looking after your team? And then other areas from an external perspective. When was the last time that you actually went outside and looked, and I mean really looked, at your salon from a prospective client's point of view? Like, when have you gone across the road and stood there for a wee while and just watched, just looked at the salon and saw what it looked like, what was happening? And I asked the question, is it the image that you want to portray? Are there lights that don't work? You know, light globes that are out and not replaced. Is your signage looking fresh, clean and strong, or is it looking old and tired? Are your windows clean? I mean, simple stuff like that can make a big difference. And ask yourself, would you walk through the door of this business and trust the people inside with your hair needs? Now, I'm sure a lot of you are ticking off the box that says yes, 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 and that's fantastic, but I'm not going to go through everything that you will see, but I'm going to suggest to you that even if you think that it is and you haven't physically gone out and looked, make the trip out the front door and look back in and just see everything that your client sees as they're walking through the door, or prospective clients see when they're walking past, and make sure that it's up to scratch. If the answer's no to some of those questions, or even maybe not, then it's time to fix it. Go change that light bulb. Go clean that corner of the salon up where the wind keeps blowing the leaves, because the presentation that you show tells people the type of business that you're projecting. And if the answer is yes, then keep reviewing. Go inside. What's the reception like? Is it clean? Is it tidy? Are your reception team presented in a professional manner? Are they dressed appropriately? Is the hair and makeup done to portray the kind of work you do? Or is it cluttered and in a state of uncontrolled chaos? Remember, guys, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And I want you to really critically look at this. Don't just think, oh, yeah, my team are really great. It gets a bit messy at times, but that's a salon. You've got to look at it critically and say, is it to the standard that my clients would expect every time? The number of salons that I go into and I see the reception or some of the hairdressers that are working there with their hair in a ponytail. It's been pulled back, ponytail, that's all I had time to do today. And these people are trying to do hair and create styles, modern styles for women, and they don't even project that themselves. So, you've got to look at that sort of stuff. That's internal marketing. If you haven't got a receptionist, does someone greet the client immediately with a warm, welcoming smile? Even if you're all busy with clients in the salon, does someone or all of you look up and go, hi, be with you in a moment? And, you've got to make sure then that someone is with them in a moment. So, that's all internal marketing. How are your clients looked after during the visit? Do they get hurried through because you're busy and your previous client was a bit late, so now you push for time, so you quickly rush the next client through? Do you actually show them around the salon when they're a new client? Now, some salons are quite small, and that can be, quite a simple thing to do. And some salons are quite large, especially in the beauty industry, if there are any beauty therapy people on the line. Show your new client around the salon. Show them where the bathroom is. Explain to them the different areas. If you've got a colour bay, if you've got different areas of the salon, show them and introduce them to team members. Make them feel welcome. I guess the question is, does that happen, and does it happen every time? Making sure the client feels nothing's a hassle. And do they get an experience that you would want them to come back to and experience again and again? And do they get that, or do they just get a quick disinterested service? And here's a question. If you're so busy looking after your clients as the owner, as a lot of us are, excuse me, who's making sure the team are looking after theirs to the standard that you want? It's a good question to ask yourself. And who checks up on the level of service standard regularly or every time? Anyway, it's a bit of a wake-up call for some, maybe, hopefully. So there are many small and sometimes large critical mistakes that salons are making every day, and they're not even realizing it. And they're causing potentially a minor or even a major recession within their particular business. So I'm sure as you're listening to this that you're aware of at least some areas that maybe you're underperforming in, because I don't think I've met a salon owner who's performing highly in every single area. There are areas that have been left to slacken off. So I guess one of the things that I do every day is I help actually my clients stop burying their heads in the sand. And maybe this is your wake-up call too. I mean, seriously, team, your internal marketing needs to be right before trying to attract new clients. Or you'll only get customers. If you're doing marketing to bring new people in, customers remember 1 or 2 visits, clients 3 or more visits. You've got to give them reasons to come back again and again and again, not give them reasons not to come back. So I guess the real question is, when did you last do an internal audit of your salon's appearance, all the systems that you have in place for client care? Have you got a staff training program to help them regularly remember the standards, to remember the systems, the culture that you're creating? You know, what about the management side of things? How's that working efficiently for you? And is it effective? So my suggestion is that you take time to start from the outside of the salon, so across the road from the salon, looking back into the salon, and work your way through, right through every single area and section of the salon until you get to the back door, on how it looks, how it works, and how you serve your clients. And once you've evaluated everything and found what needs fixing or improving, so I'm not suggesting that everything's broken. What I'm suggesting is there may be areas that need improving. They're doing okay or slightly below okay, but may need improving. There may be areas that need fixing completely. There may be areas that you need to implement a new system or something different because it's not working at all. But if you don't know, then you're going to get the same results because you don't know. And, you know, we don't know what we don't know, so to find out, we have to do something different. So set yourself a plan to do that and then to correct and improve the things that need it. So once you've had your internal marketing working well, generally you'll not need to do extensive external advertising because the continual flow of new clients from organic recommendations or even through a managed recommendation system should keep your salon busy and buzzing for a long time because people share good news. People share good experiences. The only thing more contagious than enthusiasm is a lack of it. And if you can show enthusiasm in everything that you do within your internal marketing of the salon, people will share that with their friends. So my suggestion today is quite simple, and it's to take time now to review your salon's performance and make any necessary changes. If you take action today, you can achieve better client experiences, better staff motivation, and probably, because of that, better revenue and better profit. Not to mention, probably a little bit less stress every day, week, month, and year because clients are coming in. You're not having to do a lot of marketing to continually refill the client funnel. If you want any help with this or any other business queries, just flick me a message and I'll get in touch with you for a chat. You know, I've got lots of ideas on how this can happen, how you can do this. There's plenty of things that you can be looking at. So if you're stuck, just reach out. Happy to help. I think that's pretty much covered everything. So I don't want to talk any longer because I think I've covered what I was going to cover, Donna.
Okay. Cool.
Any questions?
Yeah, this is the time for people. If you've got some questions, to just pop those in the question pane and Malcolm will be able to answer those for you. But I've actually had some comments popping up as we've gone through, specifically ones I'd like to read out from Richard. And these are some of the things that he does with his team, so I thought I'd just like to mention these.
Cool.
He provides target results. They have training every week. They use performance-based pay and with weekly one-on-ones. And they have a social event every financial quarter at least. So, you know, getting their team really involved is going to create that team morale, which is really good. So I thought they were worth sharing with everybody.
Fantastic, yep. And well done, Richard, because, you know, as Richard, it's not Richard Branson, is it, Donna?
No.
Um, but as Richard Branson says, you know, look after your team and they'll look after your clients, which in turn look after your business. So well done, Richard.
Well said. Okay, so I have a question while we're just waiting if anybody else has got any more.
Sure.
Have you got an example for us where this particular advice worked really well?
Sure, yeah, many examples, but one to think of right now. I have a client in a reasonably large centre here in New Zealand, where I was asked for the first time to pop in and see them. They wanted to have a chat, and they gave me their address, and I drove to that particular street, and I drove up and down that street looking for their salon, and it took me about 3 or 4 drive past before I actually saw their salon. So the first thing I noted was there was hardly any signage. So for a new customer, that would be quite difficult for them to find because I was a new person looking for them. I couldn't find them. So first and foremost, that was slightly external. Then when I parked and I walked up to their salon, they were set back slightly off the street, and the whole area between the footpath and their windows was quite dusty and dirty and full of broken sticks and from the local trees, you know, and it was really quite untidy. They had a product stand. They had a double door, and one of the doors was closed, and they had a product stand blocking the entranceway. And because it was quite a narrow double door, the door that was open, I had to actually turn sideways to get in. So you can imagine how I was thinking as I was walking, you know, to this place, thinking, gee, there's a lot of things here that could add up to why they're not getting new clients and they're not doing as well as they would like to have. So once I brought the salon owner outside to show her the way that the salon looked from across the road, the sign on the roof that she said, when I said to her I had trouble finding you, she said, what about the big sign on the roof? What we found out was that the big sign on the roof had rusted out and fallen over. And she said, oh, I didn't even know that. And I said, but how come you didn't know how untidy the place looks at the front and with that stand? She said, to be honest, I don't come out the front. I drive to work, I park at the back, I come in the back door, I do the clients, and then I go out the back door, and I very rarely go out the front door of the salon. So I guess that's probably my best example of internal marketing not really working like the salon owner would like it to be. And that's just on the appearance, let alone the systems for greeting clients, etc., etc. So, you know, it's a good one to use to actually hopefully help people listening to go out the front, have a look back on the salon at what it looks like from the street. And is it well signposted? Are the signs looking good? Is it clean, tidy, windows clean, etc., etc.?
I think that's good advice. Quite often we get so busy in doing stuff that we actually don't take time to look at the environment we're actually in. Okay, I have another question here. The question is, what percentage technical training versus customer service / procedure training would you recommend for a team?
Oh, it's a good question. It depends what stage the team is and how good they are at the service levels that you want them to provide. I kind of feel that it's probably a 50-50 call.
Okay.
50% of the time it should be technical training, and the other 50% of training should be based on customer service, culture, all that sort of side of things, communication. Because I've found that where salons are really good is at cutting hair, colouring hair, doing treatments and services. They're very good at that. There are a few that probably could improve, but most salons do a great job at technically looking after their clients' hair. Where they actually don't do a great job is in the communication, in the culture, in the service side of things. And so if at the beginning, probably a higher percentage of the service training, and then 50-50 would be my thought at this stage for that question, Donna.
Okay, thank you. We've had a comment around that. So if you've got all senior staff, would that percentage change?
Probably not. Probably not. It really depends on each individual situation. If you've had a salon, say, for I don't know, let's say a year or longer, and you haven't done any type of serious training on service culture, on actual the call it the soft skills, the communication side of things, then probably, I would say you'd need to have a fairly high percentage, even with seniors. I was in a salon the other day where I did some training on consultation, and I asked them how much training they'd done on consultation in the last 2 or 3 years, and they're all seniors except for one trainee, and they all looked at me, and the trainee said, we did half an hour at tech, and all the other seniors said, oh, we haven't really done any. So just because they're seniors doesn't mean that they're doing it really well. It's kind of the point I'm making. So probably more so they need it because they think they are doing well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our questions there for today. So thank you very much, Malcolm, for your session. As always, it's been great. And I've got some comments saying thanks heaps, really valuable tips, so that's fantastic.
Great, thank you guys.
Thank you, and for everybody else out there, have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thanks, Donna, and see you later, everyone. And don't forget, if you want to give me a yell just to cover some things that maybe you think of later, I'm happy to take your call or email.
Thanks a lot. Okay. See you next time.